Osiris.
Coming at you May 3rd, 2024. It's the inaugural record release from Discograffiti. Metal Machine Muzak is a slanted tribute to Lou Reed's divisive 1975 double LP Metal Machine Muzik. Lester Bangs called it the greatest album ever made, but no matter how it hits you, it's always been the ultimate music freak secret handshake. My ambient reimagining features 4 16-minute 1-second tracks, just like the original, and each one was created by a top-shelf indie rock visionary. Lou Barlow from Dinosaur Jr. and Sebadoh, CORY HANSON from Wand, W. Cullen Hart from the Olivia Tremor Control, and Mark Robinson from Unrest. That's right, not a slouch in the bunch, unlike 99% of the compilations you've ever begrudgingly purchased for the one and only band on it you just had to hear. Metal Machine Muzak won't be available on streaming. The digital drops on May 3rd. The vinyl will be shipped this summer, and we're taking pre-orders for both right now. The LPs are going fast. They're being produced in a very limited edition run of 300 numbered 180-gram color vinyl double LP gatefold copies, only 100 of which can be ordered online. These copies will be numbered from 1 to 100, and they're first come, first served. To order, just go to patreon.com/discograffiti, then head into our shop. Again, that's patreon.com/discograffiti. Don't miss out on Metal Machine Muzak, the ambient experience designed to make Brian Eno run screaming. Welcome to Discograffiti, the music obsessives podcast that gives freaks like you and me the chance to connect with a brotherhood obsessed with rating the entire discography of every single artist and band that ever mattered. I'm your host, Dave Gebroe, and with 3 to 4 episodes each week, you're going to gain a comprehensive knowledge of an act's history and output in the time it takes to listen to one album. Each new guest swings a hard left into an area you either had no idea you needed to know about or know all about and can't believe you're not alone out there. I am thrilled to announce that we have partnered with the podcast network Osiris Media, the leading storyteller in music. You can check out all their music podcasts at osirispod.com. Here we are, finally. It's Discograffiti's Metal Machine Muzak release week. Ergo, in this episode, we'll be turning our spray cans on ourselves. Along with our special guest, W. Cullen Hart of the Olivia Tremor Control and Circulatory system, one of the exalted contributors to Discograffiti's Metal Machine Muzak Double Tribute LP. This is a very special week here at the show because Robinson, Hart, Hanson, and Barlow have taken the time to detail the approaches they took to each of their 16-minute Metal Machine Muzak pieces. The full lineup's as follows: Lou Barlow on Friday, May 3rd, CORY HANSON from Wand on Sunday, May 5th, Unrest's Mark Robinson on Tuesday, May 7th, and the Olivia Tremor Control's W. Cullen Hart on Wednesday, May 8th. To order Metal Machine Muzak, just head over to patreon.com/discograffiti/shop or just click either of the links right there in the show notes. But whatever you do, make sure you order it because it'll blow your effing mind and it's for a good cause because it'll help keep this show afloat. Just try to imagine a world without Discograffiti. Yeah, I know, it stinks. And while you're up there ordering on Discograffiti's Patreon, feel free to subscribe as well for the complete versions of all our shows, plus a massive barrage of over 150 extra episodes. Even if you're on the fence, you might as well, because it's completely free to become a basic member. And away we go then!
I'm glad that you liked my Metal Machine Muzak contribution.
Are you kidding? I love your thing.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. And in fact, it concludes the piece.
Okay, cool.
It's got to build to something. Here is a man that I love with all of my heart and all of my other internal organs. I don't even know how that's physiologically possible, but it is. And we finally reached a place in our relationship right now where he doesn't have to resent me. He can just love me. He can love me for me.
Yeah, I like you. Very cool. You're cool.
W. Cullen Hart.
I could be Will, but it's just, I like it better that way.
Aptly, it was very willfully put to me.
It was? Did I say something like that?
It's the very least I can do. So first, let's talk about, well, you know what? Before we even get there, I want to thank you from the bottom of my tushy for you agreeing to do this, because I know you did it because you wanted to do it, but then you went through a phase where you wanted to fucking strangle me.
I was having trouble getting together.
Talk to me about your phase of hatred toward me, please.
Well, no, I just,
It's okay. I don't take it personally.
It was just, I hadn't done it. That's all. It's on me, I just couldn't get it together for a while. I was like, what am I going to use? And then I figured out, hey, I can use some of our own material. Olivia Tremor Control, Circulatory.
But I think what it gets at the heart of is that I've asked a guy who thankfully is a perfectionist, because, when we went through your catalog, without bending the rules at all, I was given everything 5s. You were given everything 5s too.
I really did. Everything I'm very proud of.
Yeah, as well you should be. So, I asked a guy who is a legendary perfectionist to fill a blank canvas of 16 minutes and 1 second with no rules, except for the fact that it had to be 16 minutes and 1 second. There was no other guiding principles. And so, understandably, you wanted to physically assault me. Right? Is that kind of...
Let me say something. You're going to be able to print that shit. I'm going to go, I'm not going to call you a fuckface or something. Please don't print that.
There you go. You called me a fuckface. I'm going to reach out to Pitchfork immediately. This project has been a dream of mine for, I think, about 10 years.
Really?
Way before there was
the idea came to you then.
Just the concept. And I think at the time it was like, wouldn't that be funny if there was like a George Winston-y sort of redux of this thing?
Yeah.
It was more a basic idea of ambience at the time. But you basically were one of the Sherpas to assist me in doing this. And honestly, I didn't think there was a snowball's chance in hell of this thing actually coming together. And now that it's actually complete, all the deliverables are done and everything like that, I can't thank you enough. You'll always be a brother to me for helping me do this.
It's really fun.
First of all, I want to know why you did it. So what kind of connection did you feel with me and or Discograffiti and our interview that your gut said, you know what, let's fucking do this thing?
Because I like Metal Machine music, and so that for one.
But was there, it's okay if the answer is no. I'm not looking for you to shower any praise on me, but was there anything about me or the show where you're like, beyond Metal Machine music, this seems like a worthwhile endeavor?
Yeah, it does actually. And I like your site. You've only gotten great people on there, so I was like, I'm going to do this with them. It sounds great. 6 hours, whatever, we spoke.
We did more than 6, yeah.
It was okay. I loved it. I really enjoyed it a lot. And Mike Watt, too, all those.
Your piece, of the 4, so CORY HANSON's is most like Lou Reed. Lou Barlow's makes you uncomfortable in your skin. Mark Robinson's is kind of a more classic ambient.
I met with him.
And then yours, if I had to settle on any kind of classic notion, although obviously there's elements of music concrete, which I would assume there would be, maybe because there's birds in there, it feels like it's an aviary type approach. So there does feel like it lands in a smooth place at the end. But tell me, did you have an initial conceptual approach, or did you just start throwing pasta at the walls?
A little bit of that. So I was like, I'll use bands I've been involved in, Olivia Tremor Control and Circulatory System, and some things that haven't come out or whatever, an all-over approach. That was the idea. So I did a mix of it, and then BP did a mix of it on the other right side. So I did left side, did right side. And they kind of, blend over with the headphones,
Well, let's explain, just in case anyone out there doesn't know, BP. We're talking about Elf Power, of course.
Yeah, he played with them.
The late BP Helium, which, that's an interesting nomenclature. He's retrospectively looking back at his present being.
Yeah, BP Helium, as in Helium Boys, which was XTC's first band. So that's where you got that name.
Oh, cool. So were you talking with BP about the project, and he was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
this
he come back into town, and I told him I'd written him, and I told him about the website, and he came back into town like, "Oh, I loved your thing with Discograffiti," and I was like, "Wow." So he was one of the first people to congratulate me because it was great long session or whatever. He enjoyed hearing it.
And incredibly, this is like, getting a text from JD Salinger or something, but
Yeah.
I got a text from Jeff Mangum's phone. It wasn't Jeff, it was his girlfriend, saying that Jeff really, really loved the stuff that you did. So you started doing stuff, and the concept for your piece came out of the doing, not the thinking.
Yes, I have a crappy little record player, and so I could just put on one of our own records and spin it and take out parts like the Barking Below It, which would be the third side of that album. It's kind of the more spacey, music contract kind of thing. So I just kept using bits of that. It was that kind of thing. And then I was like, well, I've got stuff on the computer. So Eric Harris, Frosted Ambassador, Olivia Tremor Control, he sent me all of his files and stuff from a long time ago. He just got them all together finally. Sent to me, so I've got a bunch of that stuff. He sent me the tape he played on tours on a 2-track behind the drum set. And he called it "What the Kids Heard." Kids being anybody in the audience, I guess. So I utilized that too. So I used his files from my computer. So then I said, "Oh wow, I can play that and put it on top of it." So what on top of this, and so I did 5 of those or whatever. And so so all these different sounds, just 3 or 4 times, and then I just kept doing that until I had tons of shit compiled on to mix down to stereo. And then BP came over and helped me get it all together. So I did a mix 16.1 second or whatever, and he did one too. So in one speaker is him, one's on me, his right, mine's left, I think. But he had the container to be able to hold it.
You know what's cool about that is that immediately brings to mind The Murder Mystery by Velvet Underground.
Love it, yes. I love that. That's a great one, man. I mean, that's a great album, too.
It is. And what I love about The Murder Mystery being on that record specifically is that it totally doesn't belong on that record.
But it does.
It does, but it doesn't, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, was he supposed to write more poppy songs? Yeah, I understand meaning, but yeah. What Goes On is like, what goes on? Am I right?
Yeah.
Few guitars at one. It gets piled up like that. So weird to stand out Murder Mystery is,
Yeah.
I mean, if you split left and right speakers, it's like, yeah. I love that.
I love it too. So when you were working on the piece, I'm guessing that you didn't really allow yourself to be stringently hemmed in by the concept of the original Metal Machine Music, because it feels like its own thing.
Okay, well, yeah, but I wanted to do all over sound like he did, That's what I'd call it. I mean, so I did go with that. Yeah, there's not any really silent moments, I don't think. I think it goes up and down like waves of distortion.
It is a wave. It washes all over you. And, I think more than any of the other ones, when it was like 14 minutes of the way through, it felt like 3 minutes had gone by. I mean, it really was classically transportative for me.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, well, it would be an all-over kind of thing, but not too noisy, but noisy too, like Lou Reed's. Brian Eno said back in the day, I put on Metal Machine Music at like a low volume. And I love that. That's a great thing. That's the way I listen to some of his albums. Discrete music at a low volume, it's great. I mean, at high volume, it's great.
His ambient stuff, he always intended to be treated as just sonic wallpaper. But the problem there for me is that a lot of that stuff from that time is fundamentally emotionally moving. And wallpaper doesn't move me. So your piece, similarly, is very emotionally moving. I hear things in there that, the bark and below it, that's more music concrete. To me, I don't necessarily feel, emotionally moved. It's more of an esoteric conceptual thing. Whereas this feels like I'm flowing down the river with it. I'm not just sitting there watching from the riverbank.
Thank you. Good point. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to make it like all over, like tons of sounds. You could hear something each time, and you will. It's an overload in a good way.
So, one thing that I definitely want to touch on here is that I had a lot of feedback from your interviews of people saying, is he for real? All you have to do is send him a 4-track and he'll complete the same place. I mean, there's people, it sounds like they've been standing with their wallets out for over a decade, ready to buy. And so I said, you know what? He told me that, but I honestly don't believe. I think he was just being facile about it. But I like to think that the, let's just go for it feel of, you having to fill a 16-minute and 1 second canvas.
Yeah.
I like to think that it was some kind of a linchpin in you rounding third on the same place, which is, for anyone out there who doesn't know, the legendary, almost Smile-esque third Olivia Tremor Control album. And these guys only create great works. So, maybe that lodestone of like a Loveless, Smile, like, how am I ever going to top albums 1 and 2? When in point of fact, whenever you press record, great things come out. I hope this was a reminder that that will be the case no matter what happens here.
Yeah. Like I said, my wife got me a 4-track cassette she got from eBay around the same time yours arrived. So I told you I'd send that back to you. And you're like, no, don't worry about it. Because the one that I already know how to use, and yours is different than mine. Your 4-track you sent me. Thank you. But she got me the one I've used for years and years. And you can't buy one anymore. So she got it off eBay. And it was practically brand new. And so I've been making music. I really hadn't been doing that for a couple of years, and it's happening. So I love it. It's exciting. Really. Did
this play any kind of part? I mean, I feel like you were being perhaps a touch flip in saying, all I'm missing is a 4-track, so if you send me yours, I can complete the same place. But is it a reach to say that, you getting ornery, and understandably so, about having to fill a 16-minute canvas and then doing so, and the results being hopefully beyond your wildest dreams? They certainly were beyond mine. Is that playing a part in you rounding third on the same place?
Yeah. Thank you. You're right. I wasn't mad at you, man, but
No, I understand what was happening.
I was frustrated with myself. What I would use, like I said, what the kids heard, which is Eric using Black Foliage before he even had it out yet, So we were playing it live. And he's playing it from behind him on 2-track reel-to-reel. And so he could just pull it up when he needs it. I think it was a constant, maybe just go in the whole show, maybe rewind it if he ran out. So in between, him, Pete, Urchik behind his keyboard, he had the same, he had turned it up and it was just going the whole time, I think, push play and go, he was just going, pull the volume up and out in between. So in between songs, thanks guys, that kind of thing. Before any of these things had been, our second record had been out, We were touring Black Foliage. When we played, we were doing the new songs as well. So you hear, and later you'd be like, I remember hearing some of those sounds when you bought the album. Black Foliage, it's heavy in its noises and stuff, so that's what I mean. But we were touring for, months and months always, since 96, It was a couple of years before we got it together for Black Foliage. But we were playing all the noises and stuff already.
What's cool, too, about the way that the vinyl is going to be is that record 1 is no locked groove. So okay. Lou didn't want a locked groove and Corey didn't want a locked groove because they started with that notion and then they realized that they had made completed pieces. And then you and Mark want locked grooves. So record 2 is going to have locked grooves at the end. Record 1 is going to have none.
Yes, awesome.
Mark is a huge fan of the locked groove. In fact, he wanted a locked groove at the beginning of his side, too.
I like that. I could have put one in the middle as well. I love that.
His first Flin Flon LP, there was a locked groove in between every single song, because when he was at the pressing plant, he was just about to press it, and he asked the guy, hey, is it any more money for a locked groove? And the guy said, no, it's free. And he goes, how about 2 locked grooves? The guy goes, no, it's free. And he goes, how about in between every song? And the guy goes, no, that's free. So he did it between every song.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he lives his life like an art project, and it's incredible. Like you, except he's maddeningly prolific.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just want to remind you of something, that if you do imagine there to be a lodestone around your neck, the albatross of super high quality, and how the fuck do I even match that or exceed it? I just want to remind you that it's all in your head and that it's just another hurdle to be leapt over. And this is as good as anything else you've done. And everything else you do will be as good as everything else you've ever done.
Thank you. I hope so. We're not under a contract where you have to have something done. So that's good. If it was like ABC, whoever, some company, we needed this or we would get it out, I make sure that I wouldn't put anything out that I don't like. I'd be like, it was kind of good. No.
Just like everything else, people are going to love your Metal Machine Muzak piece.
Thank you.
You're good at Muzak.
Thanks, man. So I got a locked groove. Yes, right on.
Thank you, Will. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I'm going to use that as a piece too. I'll put that on my player and let it loop, and I'll use that again.
Do another 16 minutes. All right. Awesome. I love you, buddy.
Love you. See you, baby.
All right, that about does it. Stay tuned, because next up on the docket, we've got an exclusive interview this Friday with the author of an upcoming book about metal machine music, David Holzer. A heartfelt Discograffiti thanks goes out to my beautiful son, Mason, the incomparable W. Cullen Hart, Michael Dutcher, Rudy Fishman, Becky Boyd, my incredibly loyal fans, and especially the entire Patreon community, the Soldiers of Sound. I love every last one of you, and this show would not exist without you, my friends. Speaking of friends, it's high time for some new ones. They're in our Facebook group, Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound. That's the best way to find out what's coming up on the show, but there's a hell of a lot more. You get recaps of the day in music history, the ability to pitch questions to guests, polls that put you in the driver's seat on guest and band decisions, and access to a thriving creative hub if you're looking for a collaborator. So make sure you don't miss out. You can find the link to the Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound Facebook page right there in the show notes. And if you don't mess with the Zuck, no sweat. Just email me at info@discograffiti.com and I'll keep you in the loop. So now that it's done and you want more, another way to dive even deeper into the 4 visionaries featured on the upcoming Metal Machine Muzak tribute album is to leap headfirst into Lou Barlow Rates the Zombies. That's episodes 59 and 60. Unquestionably the greatest Lou Barlow interview of all time. That's episode 62. Juan's CORY HANSON rating his band's entire discography plus his solo work. That's episodes 120 and 121. And don't miss his Patreon companion episodes. W. Cullen Hart rating the Olivia Tremor Control and the Circulatory System. That's episodes 131, 132, and 133. With substantially elongated edits in our Patreon for the Lieutenant and Major tiers, and the epic 16-hour Mark Robinson interview, which is episodes 128, 130, 135, and 136, with massively elongated companion edits on our Lieutenant and Major tiers in our Patreon as well. And of course, be sure to mark your calendars, because we're coming at you raging full on with Metal Machine Music Week. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss a single second of it. And so, from now till then, don't let our youth go to waste, lads and ladies. It's Discograffiti!
Osiris.